On December 15th, I had a Zoom call with an employee from Ezoic. She gave me a lot of tips that helped me improve my Ezoic revenue and EPMV. The week before our meeting, I only averaged $3.35 in EPMV. But after making all the changes that she suggested, my EPMV rose 243% and my revenue increased 435% in a mere 30 days. Shout out to Tamara if you're watching this. It was a huge help. And I have her permission to share the things she taught me in this video. I'll be explaining what I did in case it'll help you too. I'll be starting with the easiest changes that are just settings in the Ezoic configuration and working through to the more complicated stuff at the end. All in all, it took me roughly 3 weeks to get everything, but it's definitely worth it. Let's dive in. Here's a breakdown of the changes week by week. You can pause if you'd like to check out any of the numbers. We'll begin with the Ezoic dashboard. This should be familiar with most people. The first thing you want to do is go to Ezoic Ads. It is the second button at the top. There's a red arrow pointing to it on my screen. And you want to click it. And when you do, you want to go to Ad Types. It's the third tab on the page. It's marked in green on the screen right now. From there, you want to click right underneath it to where it says Auto Insert Ads and turn those on. This one change made a very big difference. These two settings will allow Ezoic to optimize the ads and the ad placement on your site and be much more accurately and more beneficial to you. The day after this change, I saw a significant increase in my EPMV with this single change. Second, you want to go down to Ad Restrictions in the left menu and go to Disable Ads by Page. I understand it sounds odd that I'm suggesting you block ads on your page. However, it was a huge help to me. 95% of the pages on my site are informational content that rank in SEO and just bring me general traffic. However, 5% of the pages on my site are crafted, salesy pages that I make affiliate income on. I don't want to lower the conversion rate on these pages, so I choose to block ads on these high money pages. I can be far more aggressive on all the other pages. For me, this was a must-have, which allowed me to be much more aggressive with ad placements on my site. The third item I want to discuss is anchor ads. This is the ad that appears on the bottom of the screen. This is in Ad Types, Anchor Ads. And second, I want to turn on Sticky Sidebar. That's under Ad Types, Sticky Sidebar. I've heard a lot of people reluctant to turn these on, saying that it hurts user experience or that people will just leave your site. But I want to show you a couple things. First, here's BuzzFeed. I'm going to hide myself for a second. You can see the top of the page is a big header ad and a floating sidebar on the right. Next, CNN starts with a header ad. AOL has a header ad, a sidebar ad, and a footer ad. Finally, the New York Times has a header ad, and many pages have sidebar ads. I believe that if major publications can have these header and sidebar and footer ads, then why can't we as small bloggers? They've definitely spent a lot more energy to figure out if this is beneficial. So I'm going to trust the major publications have done research to determine ad placements. But instead of just sharing an opinion, I wanted to share some data that Tamara provided for me. When it came to the clicks on my website for the past month, 12.5% were from the floating sidebar. 35% were from right under the title or the first paragraph, which is the closest I have to a header, and 2.5% were from the footer. Those three ad locations account for 70% of the revenue on my site. If you'd like to look at the data, you can pause and look at the exact performance of each of the ad locations. While we're discussing Sticky Sidebar, I have a second tip on this. You always want to look at your website on different browsers and different computers and on your mobile and on a tablet if you have access. I learned that there was a conflict between my theme and the Sticky Sidebar ads, and the sidebar ads simply weren't showing for several weeks. If your sidebar isn't displaying, it may be worth reaching out to Ezoic technical support to see if they can give you any tips on what the conflict is. The next suggestion is mediation. And I apologize for this because I have heard so many times on YouTube to turn on mediation, and quite frankly, I didn't think it was worth the time. I found this step to be very annoying to link up my Google AdSense account to my Ezoic account. And because I had different email accounts and different addresses on the various accounts, it was a nightmare to get this working. However, I'm glad I did, because there are some days when mediation is just fantastic. Most days, mediation is not going to be a game changer. However, there are some days that mediation is really big. On January 28th, it was 42 cents compared to $1.06 on Ezoic. And on February 1st, it was only $1.01 on Ezoic and $2.54 on Mediation. My assumption is that sometimes marketers will just really increase their ad spend on AdSense, and this is a way to grossly overbid what the other places are doing. And having Mediation set up allows me to benefit from those spikes in demand. Ezoic recently added Siderails. If you're not familiar, those are the banner ads on the left and right side of your content. I'm sharing these because they're new and you may not be aware it's an option. However, I'm not sure how effective these are going to be yet. My plan is to just leave these on for a month and then circle back and see what percentage of my ad revenue came from these. Right now I'm in a testing mode. I'm going to see how many clicks and how much revenue it generates my first month and determine if I want to leave these up. The next type of ad I want to discuss is the Vignette ads. This is under the third tab of ad types and then the second one. And I have very strong opinions about these being off. I spent years as a product manager at Amazon. And anytime I would design a layout, I was always concerned about any type of friction I'm putting in front of my users. I wanted to make it as seamless as possible so that they just move on to the next step. Putting an ad that requires somebody to click before they go to the next page just seems like such a turnoff. I know it is for me that I always leave sites that do this. When it comes to my sites, I have a lot of informational ads that bring in most of my traffic. And I have links to my money pages. They're usually affiliate links. If somebody clicks a link to go to one of my money pages, I absolutely want to make it as easily and seamless for them to get there as possible. The next one is a little more advanced and it requires me to do in WordPress rather than the Ezoic dashboard. Before I explain the fix, I want to show you the problem. Here's a list of Ivy League schools: Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, Brown, Penn, Dartmouth, and Cornell. Okay? This is how I would type it on my website. However, when the list appears, it would be Ivy League schools, Harvard, Yale, Lowe's ad, Princeton, Columbia, Brown, Penn, Dartmouth, Disney ad, and then poor Cornell all by itself. This is just a really terrible user experience. If you have pro and con lists or benefits, you just don't want ads in the middle of your list breaking stuff up. So here's how to fix it. You need to go to your plugins and choose Ezoic and settings, and you'll see this page. Next, you go to add settings. It's the second tab. You can see it on the arrow. And from there, you want to click the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner. This one can be a little hard to see, but look for the red arrow on my screen. It's just right above my head. And on this page, you'll see a place that lists where ads can be inserted. By default, this had P tags, which are your paragraph tags, and LI tags, which allowed it to be inserted in between the list items. If you don't want the ads in the middle of your list, just remove LI, and then you'll be good, and you won't have ads in your list anymore. Next is our most advanced tip. But if you've learned anything, I'd greatly appreciate a like or subscribe on this video to help these tips spread to more people. I'm going to turn off the camera for this part so you can see all the data. On Ezoic Analytics, you can go to the content section and choose a landing page. The default is to show you the pages that have the most visits, but it also shows you EPMV and revenue. There's a wealth of information on this page. I first sort by revenue because these tell me the pages that are working. I can look at them and try to emulate them. The second thing I look at is I sort by EPMV, and pages that have an EPMV but low traffic are pages I know I may want to increase the ranking of, whether I do more internal links or my other links or pushing it socially. I know based on the EPMV that these will be very profitable for me if I can just increase the number of people that get there. So those are the changes I made that allowed me to quadruple my revenue. I'm far from an expert, but I'll happily answer any questions or comments you have. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you next time.